Hi there, hope you're all well. Sorry we haven't done a video for a couple of weeks, but we've been away and we thought we'd incorporate this video into our trip away and all the things that we do to prepare before we go. So this is a video just to show you the kind of checklist that we go through before going away. It's even more important this time of year when it's getting colder out there to check everything on our car and the caravan to make sure everything is good to go away. And we just want to show you that, as well as our opinion on a haven site that we're visiting and what that's like when you've got young children and whether we'd recommend that or not. So keep watching and find out more. So the first thing we do is we get into the caravan, and either me or my wife, depending on who's got more time, will just give the caravan a good clean out. Last thing you want to be doing whilst you're on holiday is going around cleaning the caravan. So get this done first, do all the seals, do the hoovering, get all that dirt, and you'd be amazed how much dirt builds up just over a short period of time inside the caravan. Just cleaning all of the kitchen area, getting in all the nooks and crannies, just so it's all nice and clean, ready for the holiday. And then lastly, just a little clean up of the fridge areas. As you can see here, we're just going through, and you'll see me in a minute struggle trying to get the shelves out. They have a certain knack to them to get those out, and just making sure everything's clean before we go. And then we just check everything, make sure it's all okay, leaving the fridge open whilst it's in storage, and then a good clean up of the bathroom as well, so it's all spick and span, ready to go. One vital part that I would recommend before going on any trip is also just to check your locking, not your locking wheel nuts, just your wheel nuts on your wheels of the caravan and on your car, but more so on your caravan before every journey that you make. It's worth checking in your handbook what the torque settings should be on that, and get yourself a torque wrench. You can pick them up relatively cheap online. I might do a separate video on that, on how to use it and how to check that, but it's just worth checking the torque settings on those as well. I have now got our tyres changed because they were slightly over 7 years old, as one of my members on Facebook rightly pointed out. So they've now been changed and it's all been fine. But yes, check your wheel nuts and the torque settings and make sure they're all torqued up before you go. Next on the list is to sand your tow ball and make sure it's nice and shiny before you go away, and get rid of all that corrosion if there is any. You wouldn't believe how many times this took me to film. I think I did 6 takes to get this, trying to film it one-handed. But here we go, that's how we do it. It's nice and simple. Use some brake fluid just to clean it off, and some sandpaper, and then give it a good spray again just to clean off all that residue. I would recommend using gloves, safety gloves, and maybe safety goggles, just so you don't get any brake fluid in your eyes, and spray it away from your bumper because you don't want to get brake fluid on your paintwork. Other than that, it should be pretty straightforward. Now, some of this may seem pretty obvious, and we're not trying to tell you to suck eggs, but checking your car fluids is obviously important with any journey, long journey that you're preparing for. Even more importantly if you're towing, just because you don't want anything breaking down or going wrong whilst you've got a caravan hitched on the back. So I'm just checking the oil here, making sure the levels are okay, which, as you can see, they're just above centre, so that's just about right. Happy with that. And then I would go on to check the water and the other fluids to make sure they're okay. Check your tyre pressures, and it's worth checking on either in your car manual or just inside the door. Usually it gives you your tyre pressures. We would usually set ours to the highest payload, just due to towing the caravan and due to my wife packing everything other than the tumble dryer. I haven't mentioned to you on this video about hitching up, checking your lights things you do directly before leaving, pulling away, I will be doing that on a separate video. There is other videos on YouTube that you can see specifically on exactly how to hitch and set up your caravan before you drive away. I'd rather do that on a separate video just because it's a little bit more involved, and I want to get all the detail in on exactly what you have to do there to make sure I get it spot on. But obviously make sure you check everything. If you want, check another YouTube video just to make sure you set up your hitch correctly, make sure everything is done, and then get somebody to stand behind, obviously, to check your brake lights and your indicators and reversing lights and everything else you need before setting off. Other quick checks, but just as important, are to check the gas levels before you go. It isn't vital because you can buy gas when you get there if you run out, but it can be an inconvenience if you turn up on your first day and you can't use the gas. So you can do this by just running some boiling hot water over the canister, and it should give you a natural line where the level of the gas is. And then I'll just make sure I disconnect the gas. Before any journey, I always make sure all the water tanks are empty, just to make sure that it's not increasing any payload to your van, but also it can make it quite an uncomfortable tow if you've got lots of water swishing around in the tank. So just empty the hot water tank and the flush tank to make sure your journey is a little bit more comfortable when towing. I tend to check my battery levels regularly each time I go down to the storage yard, and make sure you do this before you set off on a journey, because you don't want to get to your destination with a flat battery and you won't be able to use your motor mover or your water pump. And I always make a quick trip to the petrol station to just fill up the tank of the car, just because it saves doing that on the day or having to stop unnecessarily just to fill up the tank. And then lastly, our tip of the week, last on the list, would be to do a click and collect for all your food shopping, and then you're not giving any more payload to your van or your car, and then you can just pick up your shopping when you get to your destination. What I would say is preparation is key to caravanning if you want to avoid all of the stress elements. Like anything, any holiday really, the more you prepare before you go away, the nicer it is on the day to set off and everything is in place and you haven't forgotten anything. So we will be providing a checklist on our website. It isn't there yet, but keep checking on our website so you can print off our checklist to try and help make sure that your holiday is stress-free and you've remembered everything you need. It's vital for us to prepare in advance. We have 2 young children, 6 years old, twins, and a Cocker Spaniel that we bring along to most of our holidays, and without preparing in advance, believe me, it would be a stressful thing to do. So, and again, it's the same with any holiday, but just make sure that you get everything set up and done before you go. It'll just make your experience a lot more enjoyable, and like I say, you can use our checklist to do that. Journey planning is a really important part of planning before you go away. So all you need to do is go onto Google like this and have a look at the journey. So do your from and to points, and then if you know some of the roads to start with, you'll be fine. But if towards the back end of the route you're not sure, then obviously drill down and zoom in, have a look at the roads. If you need to, go onto the street map just to see, you could always look up in advance any points of interest that you can see before any junctions that will help you along the way. As you can see, this particular site at Graffham near Midhurst that we've been to in the past is a particularly interesting one, and if you get into Street View you can see you've got to get down quite a long single track road to the camping and caravan site. So worth planning in advance just so you know what you're going to come up against. Google Maps will also give you a estimated time of arrival, which is also worth bearing in mind when you're towing a caravan at maximum 50-60 miles an hour. Is probably not going to be that accurate. Also worth checking the weather before you go. Anything above 40-mile-an-hour winds is unadvisable, and you'll find that even above 30 miles an hour winds, if you haven't towed before, you'll certainly feel it on the motorways when the lorries drive past you. So just be aware of those things. If you're going out on your first kind of towing holiday, I would advise just to check the weather. So straight over to look at our little break in a Haven holiday park called Seaview. Don't be fooled by its name. You'll be lucky if you can see the sea from this site at all. So I'm not quite sure why they called it Seaview, but it's not far from the sea, and there is another site that's connected, another Haven site that's connected to this one, which is slightly bigger, that you can go and use the facilities to as well. But this is the Seaview site, and they've got these little glamping tents as well. This was our pitch, just in the distance there on the right. The pitches were actually good size, and we had a reinforced pitch. There was also water supply next to our caravan, so that was nice and easy. We could just hook up our water system with that. And yeah, a really nice site actually, and it was quiet and some good views. This is the entrance, and just up the path here there is indoor swimming and entertainment and arcades inside, with a small bar which has a restaurant which isn't working at the moment. There's a small shop there, a mini market that you can get all your supplies from, although it is more expensive than your supermarket, so probably just for emergency stuff only. And then over here we have their outside swimming pool. Obviously I can take some video footage of this because there's nobody there at the moment, but it's a really nice pool, outside pool for the summer hotter days. It was actually obviously in the middle of autumn when we were filming this, so it was very windy. It was getting a little bit colder, although for the time of the year the weather was very good. This is the path that runs down towards the other site of Haven next door, so you can cross over and use the facilities there as well, and a lot of the other facilities are actually joined. There's a nice dog walk which we could let the dog off the lead in between the two Haven sites, and this was actually surprisingly really nice, quite a good walk, just in between those two sites, and again some good views, and just an opportunity when you are up against it that you can just take your dog for a nice walk off the lead, enjoy the views. So the entertainment at Haven is, again, we found a bit mixed, but there was some really good entertainment that we found, like a circus event that was on that the kids loved. Again, it's not for everybody, but if you've got young children, I'd recommend this. They really enjoyed themselves. It gives you a chance to have a drink at the bar and just to relax whilst the children enjoy the entertainment. So we really enjoyed that. And then a short drive, or you can actually walk to the coast. It probably takes about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You've got this beautiful coastline. This old hotel in the background actually I think it was an old Pontins hotel in its day, but the views are stunning from up here. Parking isn't too expensive, and there's lots to do. There's like a little amusement arcade and rides for the kids. Also, just a couple of minutes drive from there, there's a place called Sand World, which is quite famous in Weymouth, and you can see some amazing sculptures in here, including this one. One thing to note about this particular site is that it is quite hilly, and it's not particularly level, so you may want to just have some ramps to sort that out. It was also very windy when we came, so we actually put some storm straps on while we were here because, well, as you can see from the next video, yeah, it was pretty stormy. In fact, you can probably see from the video it was actually moving the caravan quite a bit at one point, so those storm straps did an amazing job, and I can't recommend them enough. Well worth having in the van. So would we recommend this Haven holiday park for touring caravans? Yes, we would if you've got young children. It's great value for money. We only paid £170 for the week with all the swimming pool and entertainment for free. You could buy pictures for £120 for the week, which we think is excellent value for money. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon to see more.